Hey there, Dr. Mark here, and if you just finished up your nutrition certification, I want to be the first one to congratulate you. But if you're anything like many nutrition coaches, you may be wondering, what do I do now? Many nutrition certs are great at teaching the foundations of nutritional science, but there are many gaps and holes in the education process, specifically on how do you apply what you know to coach people, how to get client results, how to attract paying clients, and how to create a profitable coaching business. In today's video, I'm gonna show you how to solve all of this by creating a coaching system that gets clients results, what to post on social media to land new clients, and once you have them, how do you create a business that doesn't waste any time? Let's dive in. If you're a new nutrition coach and you don't know where to start, you are not alone. So if you're feeling like, do clients come to me? Do I need to create a website? Should I just start posting on social media? You're not alone. This is totally common. And let me know if this all sounds familiar.
Right. And so I had a baseline understanding of a lot of specific things and general things, but to tie it all together into making a business out of it and how to use time effectively and actually apply it to coaching people, like I had no real, I was just like, I gotta get people losing weight and you can give them tips. Yeah.
Macros and whatnot, but actually just how to do it, like that course gives you a ton of information, but then you're just like, what do I do with it? What do I need?
No, I felt like after that course, I had a good understanding of the science behind nutrition and what happened in your body when you ate protein, what happened in your body when you ate carbs and fat, or all of that stuff. But when it came time to actually coach someone, I was like, I don't know. I just felt lost. I didn't know how much to charge people. I didn't know how many times a week to check in with them, what was appropriate. Kind of felt like it, I guess.
Yeah.
I felt that so I did my nutrition coaching through Precision Nutrition, and I felt that they gave you a lot of information about nutrition coaching and stuff, but they didn't really look at the aspect of business. So in terms of how much am I supposed to charge? Should I be doing one-on-one, or should I be doing, I saw you do the hybrid model or group training. If I am doing group training, how does that work?
All of these nutrition coaches aren't sure what to do next, and it's because they all have this one thing in common. They have a basic nutrition certification that's set up to give them basic nutrition knowledge and perhaps the possibilities of how they could coach people, but not a step-by-step process to get there, so it doesn't really work. And if you're in this spot, you may feel like you've been left with nothing but an expensive textbook. Some coaches have even went as far as telling me that their textbooks are expensive coasters. Anyways, let's talk about what you need to do now. After being in the nutrition coaching space for 12 years, I noticed something interesting. And that's that the coaches that were growing great businesses, the ones that were getting clients results, attracting clients on social media and making money, they weren't doing it because they got certified or what they learned through their certifications. They were doing it because they learned it from another established coach. Now it's time to learn what they figured out. There are three main things that you need here: applied nutritional knowledge, a social media strategy, and a nutrition coaching system. Last week I did a completely free training on my social media going over all of these concepts. Since some coaches told me that they learned more in the 20 minutes watching that than they did in their entire certification, I wanted to pass along what I said in that video here. Starting with number one, applied nutritional knowledge. Picking one way of approaching your coaching. I know a lot of people, there's a myth in the health and fitness industry that we need to meet clients where they're at and do everything based on, what they want and how they're feeling and meeting them where they're at. A lot of times when we do that, you're the expert here. You have the knowledge, you know the way things work. What we do is we meet them where we're at, to the point where we're doing coaching and approaching what we're giving in terms of recommendations and prescriptions completely different for every client. And that means that the correspondence is all over the place in terms of what you're focusing on and the information you're getting back. And you never really develop a coaching system because you're not getting reps in. If you did reps in the squat entirely different, repetition to repetition, you wouldn't get better at that movement. And it's the exact same thing with your coaching. You're doing things, one person's just focusing on portion sizes, the other person's doing full-blown tracking and checking in with the form. You're doing things all over the place because you feel like you're trying to meet the client where they're at. And if anything, you're doing them a disservice because you're not taking them through the process is going to work. In the Dr. Mark method, what we do is actually we get people tracking, because 90% of nutrition coaching, the goals that someone wants from a nutrition coach to achieve are going to be body composition related. So much weight loss, so much muscle gain and athletic performance, that type of stuff. We'd be doing them a disservice if we didn't take a closer look at the calories that are coming in, the calories that are going out. So we want to track that stuff. We want to measure that stuff. We want to teach people how to eat within that structure and stick to our guns around that. Because when we don't do that, they're just going to be focusing on, different things to an extent that it just isn't helpful. We're just doing them a disservice. So we want to do this the same each way. Now, if you're listening to this and thinking, well, I want to be more mindful, I want to focus on these things, I'd rather go down that path. Absolutely. But you need to focus on one specific way so that you can have some certainty around the result you're going to deliver. And it's all based on your conviction around that process. So picking one coaching system, sticking with it, and having conviction around, this is the way we do things because I know it's going to work for you. This isn't about me, it's about the client. And the client's going to get the best result when I'm a confident coach that shows up in a system that I know is going to work. Honestly, if there's one thing you can take away from this, you need to choose and apply a coaching strategy that will get clients results and stick to that instead of jumping around always to please the clients. Okay, but once we have that hammered down, where do we actually find these clients? Number 2, a social media strategy. The next thing is, the social media thing. I think everyone has aspects of what do I post? What do I talk about? So many times we just start posting, which is fantastic, but just post educational things that we find interesting, and the clients, the people, the potential clients, the people that want our help, that need our help, don't really see what's in it for them. And the way to fix that is, number 1, get a better sense of the people that see you as a coach. What do they want from you? What specific result? And lean into those results and talk about those results. And don't go so far down the path of showing them, the mechanisms through which they need to get those results. Just talk about the results and highlight the fact that you have the solution. There's a few things here, and this really comes down to marketing yourself effectively. And in marketing, everyone talks about marketing, but few people actually know what it is. Marketing is the way we communicate what we do in a way that takes a way that inspires people to take action, take the next step, to get a sense of what they need to do. A lot of times we can do this through just talking with the result and saying, do you want that result? Raise your hand if you have struggled with this aspect or you're trying to achieve that. That just, for us as coaches, identifies who are the people that want the thing that we're offering. A lot of times we're just throwing stuff out there and hoping it's going to work, when in reality, just get people to identify that they're following along in a way that they're thinking about coaching, they're thinking about the result, and then start to bridge that gap around how you help and what the next step would be. So we want to get a better sense of, how do we market ourselves effectively and create content around what people want? There's absolutely some trial and error that goes into that, but we want to do it well enough to assess that, or do it often enough to assess is it actually working? Are people reaching out? Am I getting people to comment on things when I've said, are you the type of person that's doing this, that's doing that? I do it a specific way. Creating content around that is what's going to get people curious about what we have to offer. And then from there, it's just taking them through a process of showing them you're not just an educator, you're a coach that gets results. Nutrition coaching is very much a results-based business. That's what it's founded on. People are going to hire you because you have a track record of getting results. The reason why people follow fitness influencers and buy the complete garbage that they have to offer is because they become really good at displaying that they have a result that people want. And they'll buy whatever it is without really knowing too much about it. So instead of getting upset about the state of that, lean into the fact that people want a specific result, they want to focus on that, and attract them through those things. Once we have that in place and we get people curious about stuff, because people are curious about what you're doing and what you have to offer them, we just need to take them through the process of showing them the value of what we do. In the Dr. Mark method, we offer something that we call a free nutrition client report. It's essentially saying, once you've identified that someone's curious about coaching, or they have a question about, a specific product or a method, or should I be doing intermittent fasting? Should I be taking protein powder? Those are all great questions. But for us to be able to answer those questions, we got to collect more information. We also want to know what you want to achieve, because that's going to be important. Collect some information about where people are at. Then, through a process of objectively looking at their nutrition, through getting them doing some tracking, we can get a better sense of what's holding them back from reaching their goals. Through that, once we've seen that, we've collected some information and people have supplied that to us completely free of charge. When we start to say, hey, here is what's holding you back. Here is what you need to be doing. Here are some action steps for the goal that you told me about. Here's what you need to be doing. People are begging for that next step. You've clearly articulated, the problem someone has, and you've showed them the path to solve it. And now they're gonna be like, what is the next step? Like, what do I need to do? That process is like magic. It's literally how I got my first 1,000 nutrition clients, is that I'm like, hey, you're curious about this stuff? Let me show you what's holding you back. Let me take you through that process. That would be one of the first times someone isn't just telling someone what to do, they're showing them on an individual level what's holding them back and what the next step is. And they are gonna convert, they're gonna want the next step. So that part is super important. So we're sticking to one coaching philosophy around we're doing things. We have a better sense of, here are the stuff that we need to post that's results focused, that shows that we work with others. We're talking about, the clients that we're working with. We're telling stories around that. We're taking them through the journey that we can help solve them. We also now have a process in place where we can start to show people how we help them and get them from curious to paying. Believe it or not, there's an actual science to attracting clients on social media. Focus on what they want, the result that they want to accomplish, and put in the reps talking about that. Okay, but once you have these clients, how do you make an efficient business out of it? Now on the fulfillment side of things, when we're actually coaching people and taking them through this process, we wanna have a step-by-step, streamlined, effective way of actually coaching them. A lot of times it goes back to the first point where it's like, you're all over the place, you're caring so much that you want to help them, right? You got into this stuff to help people, which makes complete sense, but you're doing things a bunch of different ways all over the place, and you don't have a step-by-step process to coach clients. A lot of times what this means is that the 4 clients that you're working with, it's taking you, like 3 hours per day. It's taking the entire week. You're thinking about, how am I even gonna market myself because I have no time to do that? It's gotta be much more streamlined and effective. We teach something called the hybrid check-in process, which is a combination of collecting information on a weekly basis with a client. The client knows exactly when they need to submit this information, when they'll get a response back, and you know how you'll respond each and every time, because you're gonna go through the framework of what's went well here, where are they at in terms of behavior and motivation, what do I need to change, what am I gonna tell them, how am I gonna integrate that into what they're already doing, how am I gonna make it so it's like bite-sized and they can actually do it, how are we gonna go back and forth so that they know, they agree to the plan, they're bought in, they're gonna keep things going. And you can integrate that into a combination of collecting the information, having a paper trail that's written email, so nothing's live, like you're not actually meeting with someone live, which is one of the biggest things, is like, how do I structure these counseling sessions? And you end up taking an hour to talk to someone and, pretty much socialize with them, when in reality, you could have done that all in 6 minutes via like a streamlined process. You go through all of that, you actually talk through it using some, video capture technology, voiceover stuff, so that, you're an efficient communicator, pointing things out. Here's what it looks like. They get to know you as a coach. The reason why all of this video-based stuff works is because you get to know people and their mannerisms. It's better for communication, but you really get to see them doing things, which makes it much more personal, especially on a personal level when you're speaking to their stuff. They get to know you and they trust you and they take the next step and they're fired up and they're motivated and they get better results. So when we work that all into a coaching system where you now know, hey, 6 client check-ins only takes me an hour now, I can start to structure my days, work this into like a side hustle, make it into a profitable business, go, step by step full time with it, because I have a better sense of how does this like actual coaching thing work? What is the fulfillment? How long does it take me? And all that type of stuff. These are the things you need to be doing to take the next step, your basic nutrition certification, and turn it into a profitable coaching business. And that's it, folks. That's what you need after you've completed your nutrition coaching certification. But as great as all these tips are, if you're really serious about starting a nutrition coaching business, the next thing we'll have you do is check out this video I've linked up right here. One thing we didn't go over today is the check-in process, and you're gonna really wanna make sure that you have that nailed down. So check it out right here, and I'll see you in the next video.